Hello, hello, and welcome to a very special bonus episode of the Women's Rugby Show Weekly podcast with me, Sam. By the way, in this episode, we'll be talking to Savvy Sevens founder Finn Kelly, ahead of his charity run, 250 miles from Newbury to Chester, raising money for BraveMind and also Savvy Panthers as well. We'll be talking to Finn about why he's doing this challenge, how the money is going to be raised, and what the money raised is going to do for both BraveMind and also Savvy, and also the importance of charities like BraveMind for these teams of players playing an exclusively women's sevens team, and the importance of BraveMind and the importance of raising money for Savvy to kind of play throughout this season. So make sure you have a listen to this one, and if you get a chance, check out Finn's Just Giving page. He talks about the link in this, and will also be in the description to this video as well. Let's check this one out. First of all, hope you're all well. Thanks for chatting to us today. Just obviously, we've spoken to you before about Savvy, but obviously, we're speaking to this about the run for Savvy and BraveMind. But before we get into that, can you fill everyone in on what kind of Savvy Sevens and Savvy Panthers are?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you very much for having me back. I think Savvy's been around for 2 years. We're going into our third season now. We're very much just around giving women in rugby opportunities to play sevens, to find their enjoyment of the game, like remove the pressure when they're playing, and just have a bit of fun. They get to play a decent standard, like win some, lose some, but our big focus is just trying to let them find their enjoyment, discover what their why is essentially, and really be able to put that into practice. So it's just a good opportunity to do that.
And can you just kind of touch on what this charity run is going to entail? Obviously, 250 miles. So kind of like why 250 miles and why picking BraveMind as a charity as well?
Yeah, of course. Initially, the plan was to run 7 marathons in 7 different cities. Obviously, I couldn't go and do that after Kempston Field went and did it. So it was quite a good thing, to be honest. I managed to make it a little bit more personal to us. So 250 miles, it's not a direct route, but it takes me straight from Newbury, which is where we played our first ever tournament back in May 2022, to Chester, which is kind of where I personally grew up, but where we hosted our first training day as Savvy. So it's kind of been a little bit more personal for us, which is quite cool. The reason I'm doing it in 7 days is firstly, that's all I've got off from work. It's half term, but it fits in quite nicely with us being sevens. Just trying to put it into that 7 days. So I'll be running average around 35 to 40 miles per day. And just making sure that I try and get to the finish in Chester. The reason I've gone BraveMind is they joined us at the beginning of this season as our main mental health charity. To be honest, our charity that we've chosen. Kind of got introduced to Sai, who runs BraveMinds, through Ella Cromack, who came on board with us, having left college this season. I got chatting with him. We got quite close. He's been good for me in terms of my development and making sure that I'm looking after myself whilst also trying to help others. But what he's doing in the rugby space is pretty incredible. People know who BraveMind are, but they don't necessarily know all of the hard work that goes into it. It's difficult, and I know it is from speaking with charities to bring money in as a charity to be able to grow and to be able to continue what they're doing. So big thing for me was trying to give back to him. He's done some good stuff for us. He's done some good stuff for some of the players. And I just want to give back to him, basically.
You got much running experience? Is it going to be a tough 7 days?
I think it is going to be tough. I've run a lot in my life. It's always been my go-to to bring myself back down to earth a little bit, whether physically, mentally. It's always been there. I came away from running itself when I got into rugby, picked up some injuries, so I've been away from it for quite a while. But yeah, been kind of building up the training for about 8-10 months now. Picked up some niggles along the way. It's been quite difficult. A lot of the rugby injuries have definitely come back up, but I've been thinking about it. I don't think I could really be fully prepared going into this week anyway. No matter how much I'm putting into it, it's always the unknown, isn't it? The weather, I'm sure mid-Feb isn't going to be ideal. It's mixed terrain, so it's going to be challenging. But yeah, I'm just hoping that the mental side of things I can keep pushing through. I've got support along the way. Family are going to be there with me for the week, which I think is going to get me through.
And obviously the fundraising is kind of being split 50-50 between BraveMind and Savvy, but just how important is that kind of fundraising to keep Savvy going throughout the season?
It's everything. Like we've spoken about it before, and I do feel quite repetitive in this when I say it, but like you need money to run a team, whether football, rugby, netball, hockey, whatever it is, you need money to run a team. And with it being invitational sevens, it's challenging to get grants, it's challenging to get funding. So you're kind of relying on sponsorships and investors, and that's been very, very limited for us, which is completely fair enough. Like, I can't fault people from that side of things. People would be giving us money for like not a lot of financial return, which is completely fair enough. So like we were lucky when heading out to Dubai, we picked up some really kind of generous sponsorships that got us there, and we just pushed hard for that to be able to get ourselves on the map. But like, I'll be completely honest. Like I've funded it for the last 2 years, and I'm running out of money to be able to do that. I spent a lot of time getting in touch with sponsors and investors, and some of it gets to step 2, step 3, step 4 of the conversation, but really converting that to money in the bank and logos on the shirts and things is quite challenging. I have got to the point where like I kind of want to do something a little bit different. So rather than spending all the time emailing, phone calls, like why don't I get out and do something physical, get everybody together to be able to do it, and just try and target people outside of the rugby world as well. Like it would be good for people to know what we're trying to do, what BraveMind are trying to do that aren't in rugby. Like if we're in the rugby space and we follow this show, then probably know who Savvy are, probably know who BraveMind are. We know the limitations of women's rugby, but if you're in the running world, if you have no clue about sport whatsoever, you probably don't know the challenges that we face. So trying to get a bit of a different audience is something I'm going for. So this fundraiser is going to be huge for us. It will ultimately mean that we can compete in 2024. But there's bigger reasons. It's trying to put BraveMind out there. It's trying to put our mission out there. But it's trying to make people realise that it's not all plain sailing. Like it's a difficult challenge.
You kind of touching it on the Just Giving page, but kind of what will the money do for BraveMind, and how will that kind of help that organisation, but also Savvy within that as well?
Yeah, so we're 2 parts on kind of what we're going to do with BraveMind. Like we're regularly talking about it. One of the big things is the money's going to go, like we're splitting 50-50, as you mentioned. That 50% will go to BraveMind. What we then do with that money from BraveMind perspective is some of it will go back into like a BraveMind kind of Savvy pot, where essentially we're training up staff, mental health first aid. We're training up our leadership team from mental health first aid perspective. We're putting on yeah, so we're basically going to be training up staff, leadership, medical team with mental health first aid. We're going to be putting on workshops, which is ultimately going to help people realize like the importance of mental health and well-being within sport and outside of that. What those workshops look like is being able to manage pressure, expectations, resilience. Like the big thing for us is not necessarily that our players undergo these workshops and this support solely for when they're with us playing sevens, but it's something for them to take away. So for example, if we have 80 people represent us and they can have access to this support, then 80 people can take that away and they can apply it to their day-to-day lives when they're going back to their clubs, when they're going back home, like back to work. Like how best can we support them when they're with us to be able to cope with life in the best way when they're away from us. Like when they're with us, like we can help them type thing, but when they're not with us, which is a large percentage of their life, like they're only really with us on a Saturday in the summer when we're playing sevens. But can we help best support them when they're away from that? That's the biggest thing for us. In terms of like what else that looks like, we're going to look to try and get into some schools and some clubs from both BraveMind and Savvy perspective, both boys and girls, both men and women in rugby clubs and in schools, and we're going to try and run some workshops as well. So rather than us just getting the training and us just contributing in the workshops, like can we really get onto ground level and really try and help the community as well? And that might not just be in the UK, like that might be something that we can look at when we go internationally. Like if we go back to Gibraltar, if we go back to Paris, if we look at Dubai, like is that something that we can take with us there? And can we take BraveMind and Savvy internationally? The more money we get through the fundraiser, the more we can do and the more we can really reach out at grassroots. There's definitely some ideas that we've got in the pot that can't fully get into yet, with a couple of like target audiences that we want to involve, but it's something that will be very, very important. And like I'm recording a video with with BraveMind over the next couple of days, which is going to highlight some of those things. Chatting with Sai himself, just around like the type of stuff that we really, really want to achieve. And the closer we get to the run, throughout the run, more details will be getting released. But right now, the big thing is how best we can support the Savvy players, and then how best we can use those players to help support those around us.
And just to kind of look at the 50% that'll go towards Savvy, kind of what are the costs that you incur for a team? Obviously, it may be quite simple to be like transport logistics, but kind of what are the difficulties of that those costs that incur, like kind of how much time and effort do you put into making sure those costs are well spent, really?
Yeah, I mean, we like, if you've got a load of money, you can spend as much money as you almost want. Basically, like the cost can keep racking up. Like initially, you obviously need your kit. You obviously need your equipment. We're lucky, like we've spoken about Rugby before. We've spoken about the work that we do with Samurai. Like we're lucky with that, so we can save some money there, which is great. So we've spoken about the importance of our partners and sponsors before, and they're huge in our process. The big cost, I guess, is the insurance side of things, but also the tournament entries. Like you can be looking at £200 to £400 per tournament. If you're like us with a high demand of players and we're trying to field teams regularly, 1, 2, 3 teams per weekend, like you're probably looking at around £800 a weekend just to be able to give people the playing opportunity. You're then getting there, like you said, you got the travel logistics, and we're lucky. Like a lot of our players are absolutely brilliant, and we've been open and honest from the get-go. Like I just can't afford to be able to reimburse on expenses and things like that. But what we'll try and do is we'll try and give you other benefits. So like the kit side of things, the insurance side of things, we'll try and give you food and drink on the day. We'll just try and make it kind of worth your while. Like you give some, we give some type of thing. But like, yeah, we're very lucky from that perspective. But the big one is the tournament entries and the insurance. Like we want to look after our players. We want to make sure that they get back when they're actually giving to us at the same time. But yeah, if we can't enter those tournaments, if we can't physically be there, then the opportunities to play aren't there. The most important thing for me is being able to enter those tournaments, being able to enter the tournaments that are going to be good for us as well. The ones that we want to be at, the ones that all of our players want to be at, where they're going to be challenged the most, where they're going to learn the most, where they're going to develop the most. That's the most important thing for us, and those tournaments are more expensive.
And just kind of, you kind of touched on a little bit there, kind of what are the aims for this year for yourselves, kind of not just on the pitch, but kind of off it, in terms of maybe how many players you want to bring in, how many like, kind of different experiences, different tournaments you want to head to?
To be honest, like the big focus for me is the off the pitch stuff. What happens on the pitch is happens on the day. Like if we win or lose, it's okay. Like it was round 3 of the Super Series this year. We had an unbelievable team, but we didn't win a game. Like we lost 4 or 5. I think it was 5 games in a row, but that was probably one of our best tournaments in terms of like the vibe around the family, in terms of how we connected, in terms of how we learned, how we developed. Like that's important for me. Yeah, it's great to be able to lift a trophy. Like we've spoken about how good Cheltenham was, how good some of the previous tournaments have been. Like when we have come away with the trophies, it's brilliant. It's what you all work for. But for us as a family, it's about like the process as opposed to the outcome. So my big focus is the off-field stuff. Like how many people can we get playing this year? That's the big thing for me. Can we maintain that kind of that elite standard where we're really pushing, we're playing against the top teams, and people know who we are? That's the big thing for me. So like challenge for me is, yeah, can we regularly field 2 or 3 teams on a weekend? Can we get 30 people playing, representing us each weekend in the kit? Can I bring on more medical staff, more coaching staff? Can I look to mentor them? Can we try and boost the game of sevens? Like I've had conversations. Some people think the game of sevens is dying. Some people think it's growing. Like I'm not 100% sure. Like at our level, like it seems to be growing quite well. There seems to be a lot of teams popping up all over the shot, and players are getting the opportunities to play, which is great. But I don't just want to sit back and wait for that and kind of be content. Like I want to continue growing. And we've had a lot of people get in touch over the last couple of months. We've got 50 plus new people that want to play this season, which is unbelievable. And the majority of the people that played are returning as well. So my challenge now is how can I give them all a shirt and give them the opportunity? That's what our mission is to empower women in rugby through opportunity. So I just need to focus on what happens off the pitch to be able to make that a reality.
I think obviously we've spoken about kind of the successes of the people who played for Slavia last year, but I think that's kind of stepped up a little bit more this season. Just how proud does that make you to see these players kind of flourishing in the PWR at international level, getting these call ups as well?
It's unbelievable. It's what we do it for. It's why we work with these people, isn't it? Like I've had people ask me questions about kind of how I feel about people, getting call ups, playing Prem, like, and then people making comments like they probably won't be able to play sevens. Like, you know what, that doesn't matter. Like, yes, it would be great to have all these people continually playing, but they're taking a step up, and if we can be that stepping stone, and I'm not saying that we're the reason people have had call ups, we're the reason, but we've had them at one point, and we've been able to share those experiences, those memories. Hopefully I've taught them one or two things, like maybe they've learned things from other players, like, you never know, but they've been part of the journey. And everybody that's been part of our journey up until this point matters a huge amount. Seeing those players on PWR team sheets and on international call-ups is just incredible. Like, I couldn't be prouder of them.
That's all the questions from me, Finn. Thanks so much again for chatting to us. Always a pleasure. Just where can everybody donate? Kind of where can they find that Just Giving link?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. The Just Giving link is in Savvy Panthers bio. It's on there. It's on my personal one as well. I'll send it out to yourself, so that hopefully we can attach it to the video. But it'll be with BraveMind. It's with a few of our sponsors and partners. Like, you can just find it everywhere. It's Just Giving, and then it's my name, Finn Kelly. Afterwards, you'll see it. It's all over social media that basically involves us. But yeah, just a huge thanks to people who have donated so far. We've got a far way to go, like a big way to go. But yeah, every donation, how little, how big, is going to go miles for us. So if anybody has any spare change, that would be hugely appreciated.
Perfect. Cheers, we'll make sure to whack it in our Instagram bio as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.